We are heading to Moose, Wyoming, which is in Grand Teton National Park. It is where the entrance station or the headquarters to the park is, and I am hoping to get my stamp for the passport there.
I'm going to be real disappointed if my attempts to get nice shots of Grand Teton itself are thwarted by a couple of clouds, but seems like that might be the way we're headed.
Not only did I get my sticker for the national park that I could put on my cooler, but I sported some local awesome guy who makes these stickers and sells them at this little shop, which is pretty cool. This one is also another 100 proof, so I am keeping the tradition strong for every road trip that I've been on. But I'm gonna have to save this for later because I still have about an hour and a half to West Yellowstone, Montana. So let's get back on the road and we'll see you in a little bit.
We are able, thank goodness, to make it to Old Faithful tonight. So that's our final destination before coming back here to get dinner and drink.
Always good to see the bison. Now, that's the third or fourth time we've seen bison. It looks like there's a whole big herd up here. I don't know if the road goes past them or not. Whole big herd of what looks to be more bison way up there. So pretty neat. Good to see them.
I'm thinking I did not leave enough room on my SD card on my GoPro. I should have pulled the videos off of that before I came because there's just so much natural beauty. It is the land of distraction for me, honestly.
Of course, Yellowstone is on top of, I think, the world's largest supervolcanoes. So the geothermal activity in the park is one of its major draws. You know, Old Faithful, Mammoth Hot Springs, all of the different geysers and hot pots in the area are all some of the most amazing sights to see, really unlike any other place in the world, which is why I love to keep coming back here. Because you can see bison in Custer and Badlands and Grand Teton and, you know, all over the place. They're limited places, of course. They are not necessarily an endangered species. They might still be endangered. I don't honestly remember. But there's only so many places that you can see beautiful geysers and steam plumes just coming up from the ground and the prismatic springs. I'll pull off here again and get closer video. But yeah, it's just unlike any other place that I've ever been in the world, certainly. So it's really quite breathtaking. And I know I've used that word a lot in this video series, but we'll get to the Grand Prismatic Spring soon.
Now you can really see both steam plumes here. Just simply breathtaking. Looks like we've got another one going off right here up next to the road. And as I was saying, that really highlights just the dramatic natural beauty that Yellowstone possesses. Like I said, unlike anywhere else in the world. Let's get to Prismatic Spring. I'm sure I'll have some shots as I get closer because they're right up close to the road. But the Prismatic Spring awaits. One more distraction before we get to the Grand Prismatic Spring. I forgot that the fountain paint pot is right here along the same road. It's looking fairly active right now. There's some good steam coming off a lot of these geysers. This is unstable ground, boiling water, stay on designated paths. Notice the dead trees. Can't grow in the ground thanks to all of the sulfur in the soil due to those geothermal upwellings of water, so to speak. And this one is the Celestine Pool. And I'm fairly certain there's 2 or 3 others. There's one right up here, one right up here to the right, which we are coming up to. which is larger than the Celestine, I think. Really interesting shot of just the grounds around the geysers. Full of microbes that only grow in this particular environment. There's the bacteria mat. Now, throwing coins in the pool is unlawful. Don't do that. This one is the Silex Spring. Really pretty blue. Gotta love that sulfuric smell of that steam. All right, looks like we've got 2 more, and this is the actual fountain paint pots. Can you hear it? It's like boiling mud. It's kind of fascinating. And like I said, it's really just otherworldly. It's so fascinating and beautiful, really, because it's different. It's just so abnormal. I think that's why we love it so much. Love to watch just boiling water bubble up out of the ground. This one is going crazy. This is the red spouter. Aptly named, I'm sure you can tell. Now this says that heat-loving microorganisms called thermophiles thrive in the red spouter. They live on gases like hydrogen sulfide, the cause of the rotten egg odor. So it is in fact not pure sulfur, of course, but it's hydrogen sulfide, a combination of hydrogen and sulfur that causes that characteristic rotten egg smell that you smell at many of these geyser locations. Kind of neat. The rain's actually starting to come down now, and I need to get to the Grand Prismatic Spring and Old Faithful before it gets dark, so I am going to cut my little walk short, head back to the truck, and keep on going. This is the Firehole River we're going to cross and then go up to the Grand Prismatic Spring. I mean, just look at how big that steam plume is. That should tell you the relative size of the spring itself. Pretty impressive. Now you can see the upside of showing up to Yellowstone in the off-season is there's not a ton of people around, which is super awesome. The downside is that that is a deep green blue. You can't see that on camera because of how much steam there is, because the air temperature around us and the humidity is causing so much steam to plume up. You can see a little bit of it here, kind of deep. Something's happening in the steam. That deep, dark blue. It's really beautiful. But that is our destination. This is the Excelsior Geyser Crater, which is why you can hear water splashing inside. But that is our destination. I'm hoping you can see the colors. Shows the power that the geothermal systems here under Yellowstone have to just rip up the land, create this massive crater and pool that the geyser once was. It just exploded one day. Pretty immense power underneath us, underneath our feet right now. Underneath my feet right now. You're just watching on a screen. I don't know if you can see it on camera. It's really subtle, but the steam over here is kind of a pinkish orange color, and it shifts to a blue tinge as you get further toward the center. And that is indicative of what we're hopefully going to see here in a moment when we get to the Grand Prismatic Spring. So you can kind of get a subtle understanding of what the Grand Prismatic Spring looks like. It kind of is surrounded by this incredibly fascinating orange and brown and white kind of striping of the bacterial mats around the massive blue lagoon, so to speak, that is the Grand Prismatic Spring. Now, unfortunately, thanks to the air temperature, you can't really see the spring itself, but thankfully, right here, we have a nice overview picture, sky view, so to speak, picture of what the Grand Prismatic Spring looks like when you can actually see it. Now, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to see it today, thanks primarily to the rain and how chilly it is. It's about 40, I would wager about 40 degrees now that it's cooled down with the rain. So sadly, we can't see the absolute majesty that is the Grand Prismatic Spring in person, but that picture gave you kind of a good representation of what it looks like. Now, if you're making a trip out to Wyoming or Montana, I highly recommend you coming out to Yellowstone National Park and checking out the Grand Prismatic Spring. It is one of my top sites to visit when I do visit Yellowstone, just because of how beautiful and interesting it is. And usually these walkways are just chock full of people. So regardless of being able to see the spring, it is nice to be able to walk without having, you know, the possibility of getting knocked into the bacterial mats or taking a wrong step and ending up off the path because there's so many people trying to get past. But looks like the smaller Prismatic Spring is not as steamy, so we can get kind of a light representation of what it looks like. It's nowhere near as majestic, but this is similar in appearance. Beautiful blue lagoon surrounded by that orange and white and brown bacterial matting. It is pretty darn cool, if you ask me. You can still kind of see the colors coming up in the steam thanks to the, I presume, reflected light off the surface of the pool, even as it's still refracting through that steam. Another interesting thing here is that the effects of the Grand Prismatic Spring and the surrounding geysers and other springs is this just massive swath of that bacterial matting and nothing else growing out here. And this is very thermophilic bacteria that grows in, you know, sulfuric waters, and really nothing else can survive this environment, but this bacteria just thrives on it, and it's kind of a marvel of science, honestly. It's really cool. Never thought you'd be learning science from a blacksmith, did you? Another shot of a different spring, not quite as beautiful. And then we're coming back around the loop to the Excelsior geyser. I'm gonna go get back to the truck. It is currently raining, not super hard, not hard at all really, but I'd like to get out of the cold and the rain for a minute, and we will head on to Old Faithful. So we will see you when we get there.
I'm headed to Old Faithful. There was a couple all but running back to their car at the Grand Prismatic Spring as if they were trying to get somewhere in a short period of time. So I am hoping that I am not about to miss Old Faithful. I'm ahead of them, so hopefully we make it there on time and it's not at like 6:45, because I remember there, like, you have to park in the parking lot and then walk up past the inn, the Old Faithful Lodge or whatever, and it might take me some time to get there. Hopefully I can make it in time if it is not, or if it's 6:45, because it is currently 6:39 right now, and I feel like that time frame makes sense in my brain, remembering back from the last time. So let's get there and see if we can see Old Faithful spout.
We've arrived at Old Faithful. Here is the Old Faithful Education Center. Over there is the historic Old Faithful Inn. I was going to try staying there tonight, but they are out of season and not open currently. If I remember correctly, the geyser is up here past the Learning Center. We're going to go up and take a look. And there she is, Old Faithful. Now, I have no idea the timing of the next spout, but we'll ask around and see what the expectation is. It is raining in earnest. We're going to come up here and stand, but according to someone I just asked, the next geyser eruption is supposed to be now, anytime in the near future. A bunch of people waiting already. Another false alarm, looks like. Getting ready. Alright, I've changed my vantage point. The people over there are a little too loud. While we wait, that is the visitor center, still half covered in snow. That's the historic Old Faithful Inn. And it looks like we might be getting something. Or not. Old Faithful is sometimes anything but. Hey. We're doing... She ain't going high. Trying to run around to stay out of the steam so that we can actually see the eruption.
I finally did it. I finally failed to manage my phone's battery appropriately, and I stood there out in the cold and the rain and got soaked for like 45 minutes, and I missed recording the most spectacular eruption of Old Faithful I have ever seen. I am kicking myself. I am so disappointed. I am hoping, I befriended a couple that were standing there from Georgia. I am hoping that they will email me their video that they took. It'll be in vertical orientation, but I'm hoping that they will email me their video because I have minutes and minutes and minutes of footage of nothing. Just steam plume, a couple of little, you know, not super forceful spews from the geyser, and then literally a minute and a half before the geyser erupted, my phone died. I had my GoPro plugged in the whole way down here, and then my SD card was full, so I couldn't even run back to use that to film, and I failed to realize with all the filming that I was doing at the Grand Prismatic Spring and the peat pots and the bison and everything that my phone battery was dying. I started like an hour ago at 85% battery, and I didn't think that was going to be a problem. So back in the truck, warming up because I don't know if you can tell, my hands were very red, very cold, just standing there holding my phone. Grand Prismatic Springs steam is way down, thanks to the rain, I imagine. Phone battery's not going to support anyway. It is now 7:40 p.m. I am on my way back to West Yellowstone to get dinner, and I am going to go take a nice long soak in the hot tub at my hotel because I am cold. And even with the heater cranked in my truck, I am soaked and I need to dry out, get dinner, and then take a dip in the hot tub to warm up. So now I have to decide. I'm hoping upon hope that they will email me their video. The dude was a prior submariner, prior electrician's tech, navigator's assistant for, you know, lay people basically on old SSBNs. So my bread and butter, so to speak. I was on an SSBN for my first tour, and really cool to chat with him. We went back and forth on boats we were on and the things that we did and stuff like that. We could speak the same language, so to speak. So I hope that I built up enough rapport that they are willing to email me that video. I gave them my email, and since my phone was dead, I couldn't get theirs back. So now I've got to decide if I want to come back tomorrow morning to Old Faithful before heading up north to Mammoth Hot Springs and potentially stand around here waiting for Old Faithful to erupt for another 2 hours. So who knows? We'll have to see how I'm feeling in the morning. So anyway, I'm gonna go drink my sorrows away in a nice hot tub, and we'll see you back in West Yellowstone, probably mixing a cocktail. So let's roll.
All right, well, I'm thinking dinner and the hot tub soaker gonna have to wait because our friends are back. Funny that it's no longer raining. We're coming out here to the lovely Madison River because I want to see the colors of the sky here over the river because I think it's going to be gorgeous. But it looks like we're being thwarted by clouds again. Figures. What a great little spot. Okay, so I forgot how damp my clothes are. Now I'm very cold. So I'm heading back to the truck. Turns out the sky, I missed the colors by like a second. So just a running theme for tonight, I guess. Oh well. Maybe I'll get up for sunrise.
Today on Not How to Drink, I got my trusty Aloha cup. It has appeared in every single episode of this series. The bar that I just had dinner at was gracious enough to give me a lemon for free, which is pretty sweet. So, in order to use the Grand Teton Private Stock, 8-year aged single barrel straight bourbon whiskey, I'm going to be making a bourbon Boston Sour, starting with 3/4 ounces of fresh squeezed lemon juice. As such, got my knife. One ounce of simple syrup. Continues to pour. 2 ounces of our bourbon. Two dashes of Angostura bitters. And 1/2 to 3/4 of the white, no yolk, the white of 1 egg. We're going to do this the fancy way. By passing it between the shells. Should have done that first. And once you think you've got enough, keep the egg yolk, toss it, whatever. I'm going to toss it. I'm not about to throw back an egg yolk on video here, or ever. No ice. No ice. I'm not going to tilt that so you can see it. We're going to do a dry shake for 15 to 20 seconds. All right, and that's going to froth up the egg white in that shaker. Next we'll get our ice. Fresh cup of ice. We'll do ice in that drink, and this should seal this time. And strain over fresh ice. Not a ton of froth on this one. Oh, that's why, because you're not supposed to do it over ice. Well, just like half the day went, I messed this one up, but it's gonna taste great. Top that off with a couple more just drops of Angostura bitters. Don't pour this. If you are actually making this drink, pour this straight into a coupe, not over fresh ice, because then you will actually get the foam on top that the Angostura bitters will rest on and give you a really nice nose on the drink. But that is a bourbon sour botched with unnecessary ice. Cheers. Pretty good.
You can't tell, but I am chilling in the hot tub. After hours, I got exclusive access to the hot tub because I got in good with the lady at the front desk. So, time to relax. Finish our drink. Cheers.